I F32 kind of want my boyfriend M35 to be my dad. Just the title sounds creepy. Me and my BF have been together for only 6 months but have been friends for about a year longer than that. We only ever hung out with a friend group and did D&D together and stuff. And I fell in love with him without really hanging out at his house or interacting with his kids. I knew he had kids M7, F12, and he'd talk about them, but I didn't meet them until I was already in love with him. Some background: I came from an abusive household. Both of my parents were emotionally, psychologically abusive, and my father was an angry drunk who threw things and punched walls. I've been in therapy for it throughout my life when I can afford a therapist. Yay USA, but am currently not. I've never really hung out around a healthy family with kids in it. I am estranged from my extended family since cutting off my parents. And most of my friends either don't have kids or they're very small babies. The first time I went over to my boyfriend's house, his kid was acting up and I felt my whole body go tight waiting for him to get angry aggressive with the child. And he didn't. He was kind and gentle. I was absolutely just. I'd never seen that. The more we spend time together and the more I see him around his 2 kids, I keep having these sort of earth-shaking revelations like, this is what parents are supposed to do. This is what it's supposed to look like. My therapists had explained, verbally, what it's supposed to be like. But that's very different from actually seeing a parent who genuinely loves his kids and treats them well. I love spending time over there because when he is kind and gentle to his kids, I passively absorb it, is the only way I can think to explain it. I feel safe and warm and protected in an extremely just, primal way, that I never felt in my own house or anything. To be clear, I know what daddy kink DDLG is, and this isn't it. It's not sexual at all. I just see the way he takes care of his kids and wish that I could just duck under that umbrella and be cared for like that too. One time he was telling me about the custody battle he went through with his ex-wife, who didn't want him around the kids, and how hard he fought to stay in their life, and I just started crying. He was comforting and I tried to explain that no adult in my life would have ever fought for me like that. I told him I wish I'd had a dad like you and he said I wish you did too, which was very sweet, but I just worry this isn't something I am supposed to want from my boyfriend, or feel for him. He knows about my parents and we've talked about it a few times. He gets it because he didn't have a great upbringing either. It's probably not okay to cross wires like that. I believe in communication and relationships, so I probably need to talk to him about it. But how do I tell him so it doesn't come off creepy? There's just so much positivity and warmth and unconditional love in his house and I want to just wrap up in it like a warm blanket. But it's not mine. It's his kids. And I probably shouldn't get the wires crossed like that. I don't know. If I hadn't had to change jobs during COVID, I'd talk to a therapist again, but financially that's just not an option right now. Too long didn't read raised in an abusive household. Now see how my amazing boyfriend loves his kids and I wish he'd take care of me, love me the same way. Since nobody ever did. Is that wrong? Do I talk to him about it? Edit. Wow, so many comments. Thank you all for your kind words and advice. I am definitely Googling a lot of the ideas and books and things everyone mentioned. I didn't expect so many people to relate to this. It's kind of sad and really heartwarming. I was worried I was messed up and that I should shove these feelings away and felt guilty for feeling like that. But a lot of you suggested it's just love. Healthy love. And it's okay to want that. Which feels like it should probably be obvious. I've decided not to make a big deal out of it or have any kind of talk about it, but just keep telling him how much I appreciate him and the things I see in him. Thank you all again for so many comments and advice and ideas. I don't think you want him to be your dad. You just want to be treated with the empathy and respect he treats his children. So tell him how you feel. Just don't say I want you to be my dad. That'll probably spook him. But beyond that, yeah, tell him you've never seen a parent treat their kids right like that and it makes it feel amazing to be around him. And how much you want more of that. I am sure he'll feel flattered for basically being called an awesome dad. And then he'll feel able to become more emotionally close to you. 40-year-old lady here. Lots of people who had shitty parents look at their partners and friends and think I wish my parents were like that. Heck, people with good parents might still look at a great parent and think, dang, they pulled that off better than my dad. It's not that you want your partner or friend to parent you. It's seeing someone do good and wishing that you had it back then with your parents. What you need to do is focus on what a good partner he is to you. And you need to start giving yourself the love you needed as a child. Second story. My 20 female roommate's boyfriend touched me when he thought I was asleep. I attended a pool party on Friday and it ended pretty late. When I got back to my apartment, I was too tired to change or even tidy up, so I slept in my wet swimsuit. While I was sleeping, I could feel someone covering me up with my comforter. I just assumed it was my roommate, but when I looked up I realized it was her BF. I didn't have a problem with this at all. I thought it was a nice thing to do. I went back to sleep, but I woke up when I could feel someone touching my arm. It was still my roommate's BF. Then from touching my arm, he put his hand in the top part of my swimsuit, touching my breast. I should have woken up and told him to stop, but I knew it would have been awkward. I decided to just wait a bit hoping he would stop. He did eventually and I went back to sleep. I want to tell my roommate what happened, but I don't want to say if she asks me why didn't I stop him. I don't know why I didn't. I know what happened was wrong but I don't know if people consider things like this serious enough. Edit: I've seen all the wet swimsuit concerns. I was tired that night. I don't plan on ever doing it again. Update. And now, update. Basically, to the people that guessed that John was scared and that's why he reacted that way, you were right. He showed up at my apartment last night with a big bouquet of my favorite flowers, irises. I am not entirely sure how to explain what happened, but I'll do the best I can. After I opened the door, we didn't say anything for a minute, but then I asked him what he was doing at my place. He handed me the flowers and asked to come in. So I said yes. We go in, go to the kitchen. It's awkward as hell and I am busying myself by getting a vase and preparing the flowers, and then out of nowhere he starts talking and apologizing. I am gonna be honest, it was hard to understand what he was saying because he started crying. And I mean bawling. I am still shocked about it because honestly I've never seen John cry like that before. I got him to sit down with me, and he calmed down enough to give a proper apology. Like some of you guessed, he said that he immediately thought of his own childhood, and how he was scared he would just end up like his father. Now, to my own credit, I kept the promises I made on the previous post, and I didn't take him back immediately. I told him that we needed to work things out, and therapy was a must. He wholeheartedly agreed, and said that he even scheduled some personal appointments for himself, which was a pleasant surprise. He showed me the confirmation emails, so no, he wasn't lying. He agreed to couples counseling. We're going to find a counselor later today. Plans to move in together are on hold. Working out this issue is the priority. I also got my wish, kind of, that John would open up more. As happy as I am that he trusted me enough to talk about his father, the few little stories he told me last night caused me to lose sleep, and I am sure I will continue to have that problem for a while. I am still shocked and deeply upset by what he told me, and I requested that he continues to be open, but to tell me slowly, just so I have time to process. I am hopeful and optimistic about the future, and I have made it clear to him as well that this is his second chance, and he will not get a third. Thank you so much for all of your support. Oh, a few additional details. The cheating allegation came from a previous relationship that cheated, and he did apologize profusely for that. He has not gotten a vasectomy. He was under the impression that he was infertile, as he was tested years and years ago and the doctors told him he didn't need one. Lo and behold, he apparently visited a different doctor 4 days ago, who informed him that he does have swimmers. I mean, obviously, I am not the goddamn Virgin Mary. And yes, he did not know that his sister reached out to me. And yes, his mother was apparently incredibly disappointed in him, but he has made it clear that he came back because he wanted to, not out of pressure from his family. I mentioned that one of his greatest traits is his desire to try and get better, and that is what he promised me. I think we'll be okay. Third story. I 42 female walked in on my son's 17 male being inappropriate with his friend's 17 male. I'll be honest and say my husband and I are strict on our 5 children, in the sense of them having to do their homework, go to school. Their dating privileges are also pretty tight. We have to approve of their partners. This generally means no homosexual lesbian relationships. My husband and I were both raised to believe being homosexual lesbian is wrong, and we have passed those teachings on to our children. My 17-year-old grew up a little more distant than the others, and now I suppose I know why. Last night I came home a little early from bowls club due to hurting my wrist, and I went upstairs to check on my son and his friend who was playing Call of Duty and doing homework. However, when I opened the door they were both tucked in the blankets, kissing, with some very obvious hand movements going on under the covers. I asked them both to make themselves decent and come down to talk to me in the kitchen and excused myself. They both looked absolutely terrified when they came downstairs, and it was heartbreaking. I did tell them that I wouldn't be telling my husband, and I asked the boy to leave. I no longer feel comfortable having him stay the night in my son's room. I couldn't sleep at all last night. I am conflicted because I've always believed certain things about that kind of lifestyle, but he's my son and I love him and I do not want to be his enemy. I've tried to talk to him today about telling his dad and us working through it together. He's very against the idea. I have no idea how his siblings would react, and I know I am partially responsible for teaching them the way that I have, but there's nothing I can do to change what I've already done. How can I help my son right now? He must feel alone, and I am conflicted about my own feelings towards it, but I intend on attending a few PFLAG meetings. I am aware that I've created this environment that made him feel this way in the first place. I just want to undo it as much as I can, make him feel as comfortable as I can. Would it be inappropriate to tell his father? I know he's struggling, but I don't know if I can get through this alone either. Side note, I have no intentions of telling him he's no longer allowed to see the boy. They've always been close friends and they seem to care about each other. I just don't want him spending nights in my son's room anymore. Too long didn't read. We created a homophobic atmosphere raising our children, and now I have no idea how to undo it now that my son has a boyfriend. Fourth story. My 23 female husband 23 male paid for an escort while I was away. While I was away for work, I found out my soon-to-be ex-husband met up and paid for an escort. I found out 2 nights ago when I opened my laptop and his messages were still up. This isn't the first time he has cheated on me, but it is the first time he has met up with an escort as far as I know. The first time he cheated via Tinder. I gave him a chance to get help and to work things out with me, but clearly he did not make any changes. Unfortunately, I love him very much and want him to seek help for whatever it is he is going through that makes him have these urges. He says he loves me and doesn't understand why he does these things. Could he be lying? While I packed all my things to move out, he cried and begged for me to stay. But I cannot go through that pain again. I really want us to work out, but I want him to make the change himself without me pushing him to. Do I try and reach out again? Do I just cut him out of my life forever? Edit for those concerned. I will be getting tested tomorrow. He met up with this escort back in August 20th and I just found out. Also, I have moved out. Edit 2. I know nothing about the divorce process. If you are suggesting this, please leave advice on how to go through with divorce if I choose to do this eventually. Edit 3. Firstly, for those of you taking the approach of something was lacking in our tax life, there was, and I was the one who mentioned it. His drive wasn't as high as it once was. I tried multiple different things and explored different kinks to no avail. I would ask him what his kinks were, but he would brush me off as if he did not have any. Maybe he was bored of me. Oh well, I found my own kinks in the process. Secondly, after reading all of your responses, I think I am comfortable in my decision to get a divorce after all. I just needed a bunch of strangers on the internet to slap me in the face to see that I am not the issue. I hope one day to find these mysterious men you guys say exist that aren't pos. When I do, probably years from now, I will update on this account. If you're commenting after this edit, please just offer advice on how to move on or just be positive for me. Obviously, I am still hurt, but I cannot let this go on any longer. Thank you all. Fifth story. My 33 female boyfriend 41 male kicked me out last week because he found out I am pregnant. Throwaway because my boyfriend uses Reddit. For some context, my BF John and I have been dating for almost a year now, and things were absolutely great. He's romantic, loving, helps with chores, I know, right? And he's funny as well. However, no person is without their faults. He's a bit uptight about his feelings and expressing his emotions sometimes. And he's struggled a lot with his mental health in the past, but he's doing well now. I also know that he had an incredibly strained relationship with his father, and that it must have been abusive to some degree, but I don't know any details. His dad died years before I met him, but I can count the amount of times John has talked about his dad on one hand. He's that tight-lipped about those sorts of things. Well, anyway, last week I found out that I am pregnant, and I went to tell John. I thought he would be happy, because he has a 5-year niece and a 2-year nephew that he's great with. And like I said before, he's a loving and caring partner. But I was completely and absolutely wrong. John flipped out on me completely. He told me to put the baby up for an adoption, accused me of cheating, called me names, etc. It was awful. He said that he never wanted to see me again, and he kicked me out of his house. I am kind of in shock, and I've honestly been crying and eating ice cream for the past few days, trying to decide what to do. I haven't spoken to John at all. He hasn't answered any of my calls. So honestly, I was accepting that he meant what he said. But 2 days ago his sister 37 reached out to me. I am not super close to her, not because she's mean or anything. It's just that John is a little introverted, so I haven't spent much time with his family. Anyway, Emily basically told me that John didn't mean anything that he said, and that he was upset about his reaction. This pissed me the hell off. I told her if he was that upset he needed to apologize to me himself. And honestly, I wasn't even sure if I could accept his apology, because the way he acted made me rethink about whether or not he's father material. Emily kept her cool, and she explained a few things to me. First, she clarified about his dad. She said that he was incredibly violent and emotionally abusive, and she's sure that John is just scared. Emily didn't tell me any details, said that was up to John. And while I am absolutely heartbroken to know that the person I love so much was hurt so badly, I am still not sure what to do or how to move forward. Emily also said that John's mom knows about what happened, so his entire family is mad about the situation. Apparently more mad at John than me. I don't want to put John in an uncomfortable position or force him to be a parent when he doesn't want to, but I really don't want to lose him. I want to keep the baby though, even if that makes me selfish to do so. Too long didn't read BF through a huge fit because I am pregnant, but I suspect it was an emotional reaction on his part from childhood trauma. Edit, his family is not mad at me at all from what I can gather. I think I was projecting my own insecurity when I wrote that. Sorry for the confusion. Also, I don't think he knows Emily called me when she said how upset he was. She said that he had told her what happened, and how he felt guilty. She never said anything like he wants me to tell you X because I don't think he knows. Hope that clears things up. Edit 2 for anyone concerned. No. I am not homeless. We were in the process of house shopping but hadn't settled on anything yet, so I have my own apartment. Edit 3 I don't know how to make it clear I am not trying to baby trap him. I am financially stable and can care for a child myself, and if he adamantly refuses to be involved I am not going to make him. That doesn't mean that I don't want him to be involved, because I do, if that makes sense. Update. And now, update, basically, to the people that guessed that John was scared and that's why he reacted that way. You were right. He showed up at my apartment last night, with a big bouquet of my favorite flowers, irises. I am not entirely sure how to explain what happened, but I'll do the best I can. After I opened the door, we didn't say anything for a minute, but then I asked him what he was doing at my place. He handed me the flowers, and asked to come in. So I said yes. We go in. Go to the kitchen. It's awkward as hell and I am busying myself by getting a vase and preparing the flowers, and then out of nowhere he starts talking and apologizing. I am gonna be honest. It was hard to understand what he was saying because he started crying. And I mean bawling. I am still shocked about it because honestly I've never seen John cry like that before. I got him to sit down with me, and he calmed down enough to give a proper apology. Like some of you guessed, he said that he immediately thought of his own childhood, and how he was scared he would just end up like his father. Now, to my own credit, I kept the promises I made on the previous post, and I didn't take him back immediately. I told him that we needed to work things out, and therapy was a must. He wholeheartedly agreed, and said that he even scheduled some personal appointments for himself, which was a pleasant surprise. He showed me the confirmation emails, so no, he wasn't lying. He agreed to couples counseling. We're going to find a counselor later today. Plans to move in together are on hold. Working out this issue is the priority. I also got my wish, kind of, that John would open up more. As happy as I am that he trusted me enough to talk about his father, the few little stories he told me last night caused me to lose sleep. And I am sure I will continue to have that problem for a while. I am still shocked and deeply upset by what he told me, and I requested that he continues to be open, but to tell me slowly, just so I have time to process. I am hopeful and optimistic about the future, and I have made it clear to him as well that this is his second chance, and he will not get a third. Thank you so much for all of your support. Oh, a few additional details. The cheating allegation came from a previous relationship that cheated, and he did apologize profusely for that. He has not gotten a vasectomy. He was under the impression that he was infertile, as he was tested years and years ago and the doctors told him he didn't need one. Lo and behold, he apparently visited a different doctor 4 days ago, who informed him that he does have swimmers. I mean, obviously, I am not the goddamn Virgin Mary. And yes, he did not know that his sister reached out to me. And yes, his mother was apparently incredibly disappointed in him. But he has made it clear that he came back because he wanted to, not out of pressure from his family. I mentioned that one of his greatest traits is his desire to try and get better. And that is what he promised me. I think we'll be okay. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.